Hey, Gino Ames here, live from St. Augustine, Florida, and the riff of the day. And you, that's right, you are watching the 100th episode of Sit and Spin with Joe. Happy 100.
Hey everyone, it's Corey, the Metal Unicorn from Riff of the Day, welcoming you all to Sit and Spin with Rockstar Joe Royland. Happy 100th episode, Joe.
Hi, this is Scott over at Righteous Vinyl, and you're watching Sit and Spin with my good friend Joe. Check him out. Hit play. It's right up top there.
Hi, I'm Aaron.
And I'm Chris from the Decibel Geek Podcast.
And you're watching Sit and Spin with Joe.
Hey, this is Pete Zabo from Austin. You're watching Sit and Spin, hosted by Joe Royland. Happy 100th episode.
We're Failure, and you're watching Sit and Spin
With Joe.
with Joe.
Hey there, hi, and welcome back to another episode of Sit and Spin with Joe, with me, your host, Joe Royland. And not just any episode, but our 100th episode. Much long overdue in the making. This was originally supposed to air way back in August, but a lot of things happened to postpone it. But here it is for you now. First off, I just want to say thanks to all the fans, friends, and family who helped make this show possible with your continued support, some of whom you just saw, more of whom you'll see later on. And a big round of applause to all of them, as well as to our featured subject today, the perhaps ironically named band Failure, for leading us into this milestone episode of the show. The last 2.5 years, we have covered over 100 different bands, concerts, albums, singles, EPs, as well as over 90 different music-related movies and documentaries. It's been a long, strange trip getting here, much as it's been a long, strange trip for the making of the new album, The Heart is a Monster by Failure, nearly 18 years since their last record. You know, there were a lot of great concerts that played through town this summer. I didn't get to go to all of them, but one of the ones I was looking forward to the most and wanted to make sure I went to was Failure's appearance at the Asylum in Portland, Maine back here in July. You know, I never thought I'd ever get the chance to hear new music from Failure, much less get the opportunity to see them live, much less get to see them play in my own town, and much less get to meet them afterwards. But all those things happened, and it was about as epic a night as you can imagine. Now, you might be saying, I'm not really familiar with Failure, and if you're a fan, you probably aren't, and that's understandable because the band were more kind of underground, kind of considered ahead of their time, and didn't get the mass wide-stream success that they probably should have gotten to. Part of that is due to the fault of the record label they were signed to, which was Slash Records. It was an imprint distributed by Warner Brothers Records, and they didn't have the best distribution, and thereby it was kind of hard to get Failure's albums in the stores. They also didn't get a lot of radio or video airplay. They only made a couple of videos. And just as they were finally starting to be poised on the brink of success, things kind of fell apart for them, but we'll get to that in a minute. First, let's give you a little bit more history on the band. The group's classic lineup is comprised of founding members Ken Andrews on vocals, guitar, bass, and keyboards, along with Greg Edwards on bass, guitar, keyboards, and backing vocals, and Kelly Scott on drums. They debuted on the scene back in 1992 without Scott, released their debut album Comfort back in that year. That was followed up in 1994 with the album Magnified, and then after that record was released was when Kelly Scott came into the band. The next record they put out in 1996 was their absolute masterpiece, Fantastic Planet, which is one of my all-time favorite records by anybody ever. Over the years, too, the band contributed to the Depeche Mode tribute album For the Masses with the song Enjoy the Silence, a cover of that, which they have been performing in their concerts live of late. And they also released the Odds and Sods kind of compilation Golden back in 2004. Now, even though Failure never caught on big, they were always very highly influential amongst the peers. And their sound can kind of be described as anything from alt-rock to space and art rock because of the kind of atmospheric, ethereal sound tapestries the band paints with a lot of different sonics and stuff. And they also have been turned alt metal too, because sometimes that music ends up on the heavier side. And similar artists to them include their friends in the bands Tool, A Perfect Circle, and Queens of the Stone Age. And guitarist Troy Van Leeuwen, who has also been a member of the latter two groups, has also been a sometimes member of Failure and guests on this album as well. He's also currently been touring with the band on their latest string of dates, and by all means, I'll say this again later, but if you get a chance to go out and see Failure live, do so. But like I said before, due to the crappy distribution of their label, right as they were ready to break back in 1996, they finally had a fantastic album ready to go, Fantastic Planet, just absolutely killer, and the label falls apart. Warner Brothers picks up their option to release the record, but just as they're about to do that, the band breaks up. And that was mainly due to there were some drug problems in the band, lack of communication between the members, and they just kind of imploded. Ken Andrews went on to front the short-lived bands On and Year of the Rabbit, also contributed to the Replicants cover project, and had a solo career of his own. And along with that, he became a very in-demand producer and mixer, working with the likes of people like Pete Yorn, Black Rebel Motorcycle Club, Paramore, and a host of others. Greg Andrews moved on to contribute to the band Lusk before forming his own new band, Auto Lux. He released a couple of records that are really great, and also did some behind-the-scenes studio session work. Kelly Scott joined the bands Blink of the Star before doing stints in Campfire Girls, Enemy, and most recently Veruca Salt, and hopefully we'll get to reviewing their reunion album later on, along with doing a lot of session work, mostly for Linda Perry's productions. Ken and Greg kind of reunited and rekindled their friendship in late 2013, and toyed with the idea of maybe getting the band back together and then going out and doing some shows. So they contacted Kelly to see how he felt about it. Kelly was on board. They went out and played a few shows. Those went really well. They went and did some more dates. Those went really great. And then in late last year, the band decided to finally enter into the studio and started working on what was originally going to be an EP, but turned into their new album, The Heart is a Monster. And we will get into full coverage of The Heart of the Monster just in a moment. First, though, let's hear from some more of you fine folks out there, all you people who weren't camera shy, and send in a video when I requested if you could do it. So, more on Failure in just a second. In the meantime, check out these guys, friends of the show.
I think it's recording. Hi, I'm Missy.
And I'm Catherine, and you're watching Sit and Spin with Joe.
Congratulations on 100 episodes, and we're looking forward to 100 more.
Sit and Spin with Joe, 100 episodes. That's right. Congratulations, Joe. 100 episodes. Just in case you haven't hit the like button for Sit and Spin, smash that like button. Later.
What's up? I'm Aiden Kaczynski, and you're watching Sit and Spin with Joe. Yeah.
Hey, this is Eric Miller from Pods and Sides, and I want to congratulate Mr. Joe Royland on 1,000 episodes of Sit and on 100 episodes. That's still a good number. 100 episodes of Sit and Spin with Mr. Joe Royland. Congratulations, Joe. Wishing you much success on your next 100 and beyond.
Hey, this is Craig Smith from the Pods and Sods Network. I would like to congratulate my friend Joe on 100 killer episodes of Sit and Spin with Joe Royland. Congratulations, Joe.
You guys, what's happening? It's Mark Curto from 94.3 WCYY in Portland, Maine, and I want to wish my good friend Joe a happy 100th episode of Sit and Spin. what an awesome thing. I'm a huge music fan myself, like a lot of you, like Joe, and the things that are keeping music fans alive and passionate are important. Blogs and shows like Joe's and video shows and podcasts and all kinds of things, record conventions. We need those things to keep things alive, and we need all of us to continue to share and let people know about podcasts and shows like Joe's and blogs. Music fans, they want to take a lot away from us, and they want to close our stores and all that stuff, and we can't let it happen. We love music and we have a passion for it, and that's why there's great shows like Joe's. So spread the word. Joe, happy 100th episode, and 100 more and 100 more and 100 more on top of that. Music fans, cheers.
Pretty cool. Thanks again, all you folks for who weren't camera shy to send me a video and stuff, and for continuing to support and influence me inspire me with your own podcasts and stuff. We'll talk a little bit about some more of you a bit later on. But for now, let's get back into our coverage of Failure's new album, The Heart is a Monster. And much like The Heart is a Monster, this new album is a monster as well. It's a rare band that can come back after such a lengthy absence and still maintain the musical magic that made it great in the first place. But Failure has managed to do just that with this new album. Kind of a testament to how ahead of their time they were before. The new album manages to stay both contemporary and timelessly classic sounding at the same time. And much like Fantastic Planet now sounds as great as it ever did, I can see 20 years from now The Heart is a Monster being the same way. Sonically and stylistically, it picks up right where the band left off with Fantastic Planet, and in more ways than one. And while not a direct sequel to that record, it's at least a spiritual one, and continues the band's use of numbered segues, even picking up where they left off with Fantastic Planet. As you can see, the opening track is segue number 4. And these segues, which you just kind of heard one of right there, kind of like little musical interludes that serve as a bit of a palate cleanser, but more often than not, a bridge setting up the next song, Sonic Offering. And I'm not going to go too heavily in depth into the album because, like I said, it's a monster. It's a lengthy affair, coming in at over an hour long, and with all the segues spanning 18 tracks total. It's an epic, sprawling record, and the kind that demands and benefits from full listens. But, I'm going to break down some of my highlights for you. The album's opener and first single, Segue 4, Hot Traveler, kind of fades up out of the ether with that distorted, pulsing bass, and then the guitar comes in kind of off-kilter, and when Kelly Scott's drums kick in with those hard-hitting drums, it's that moment where you realize, holy shit, Failure really are back. And it's a great feeling, I'll tell you that. And that's followed up by the equally impressive AM Amnesia with a mix of loud, quiet, loud that Failure does particularly well. And it's a song that's very much a fan favorite among the fan base. I also enjoy the darkly haunting sounds of Snow Angel and the futuristic weird guitar effects that you kind of just heard in the opening of this track, Counterfeit Sky, which is one of my favorites on the album. And this is the band's latest single, and also has an equally cool new music video, which I'm going to send a link to too, but it fits the music perfectly. And in particular, standout track on the album for me is the psychedelic Mulholland Drive with its mix of Beatles ELO medley combined with Brian Wilson keyboards meets Pink Floyd epicness. Live, man, that song just absolutely killed, and in general, the band's just killing it live. They're one of those bands that sounds equally as great live as they do on the record. And these guys are just, like I said, with the pedigrees I told you about before, these are top-notch musicians who all know how to play really well and do what they do great. They know how to structure a song and set up pacing, and it's all about, like, the spaces in between the moments and stuff too, things like that kind of epicness that makes Failure so great. A couple of other favorites on the album, getting back to that, would be Come Crashing, which is actually the first song that was recorded for the album, and I also like the driving energy of the focus, but overall, it's just such a solid record. I'm so happy to have Failure back. If you're not familiar with these guys at all, do yourself a favor, go up and pick up Failure's new album, The Heart is a Monster. You can go back and find their older albums. They're a little harder to come by. There is a reissue campaign for Fantastic Planet coming back out on vinyl right now. The CD is out of print, as are some of their other records, but you can find them on Spotify and stuff to listen to, I believe. But track them down. Go hear them. And myself, I was kind of a little bit of a latecomer to the band. The first song I heard by them was Stuck on You off of Fantastic Planet, but it was enough to make me want to go, who is this band? And I want to know more. And I got a little treat for you at the end of the show. We're going to have a live video of them performing that song here in Portland at the Asylum. But by all means, like I said, if you get the chance, go out and see these guys live. They are just stupendously killing it. Great stuff. Go to see them. And that's it for Failure's album, Heart is a Monster. Definitely right up near the top, if not at the top of my top albums of the year list. But again, one more time, thanks again to everybody out there for all your support in making this show happen on a weekly basis. Like I said, it's been a long, crazy trip. We've gone through a lot of different stuff. And I want to point out some people who inspire me and make me continue the show. Folks like Gino Ames over at the Riff of the Day is the first person you saw in this video. Without Gino, the show wouldn't exist because the show kind of spun off out of guesting on his show, of which I'm a member of that page as well. And I thought, hey, this is pretty easy and fun. I can do this, and so that's what I did. You can check out our epic humble beginnings, which I'll be honest, make me cringe now, in YouTube, because that's something else I wanted to mention. As of right now, all of 100 videos are now available to watch on YouTube, as well as seeing them on Facebook. And a lot of the old ones you can't find on Facebook anymore, but if you want to go back and see how everything began, or maybe catch an episode you missed on a band that you like, see how things started out for us, go back to the days where we had Norm the Drowsy Dog, the late Norm the Drowsy Dog, as our co-host, or just catch up on that stuff. You can do that on YouTube now. But getting back to some of the other people who inspired us, along with the Riff of the Day, my good friend Scott over at Righteous Vinyl, we do an annual show every year, which is a mashup of our shows, and podcasts. You see me share podcasts on the page all the time, and these people, like I said, they inspire me too, so go out and support them and give them the same kind of love you give me. People like the Decibel Geek podcast, Chris and Aaron, who you saw in the video, bringing you the best of heavy and hard rock every week. All sorts of cool subjects that they do. They have great interviews on their show as well. Fun shows that they do. They're awesome guys. The Pods and Sod podcast and the Pods and Sods Network. Eric Miller and Craig Smith, who been doing a lot of great stuff. They kind of branched out in their own separate stuff. Eric's been doing a lot of great interviews lately, but they do a lot of shows together and a lot of music that I dig too, so that's why I think you will dig them as well. The Dig Me Out podcast, who I guested on earlier in the year when we talked about 90s and one-hit wonders. Tim and Jay bring you some of the best unearthed gems from the 90s. As a matter of fact, it's relevant to the show too, because it was their coverage of Failure's Fantastic Planet that got the attention of Kelly Scott, who ended up doing 2 guest interviews on their show, and I've posted those before, but I will post links to them again. They are well worth your time to listen to, as is the Dig Me Out podcast in general. Hopefully I'll be guesting on some other upcoming episodes from them as well as another new show, the Rock and or Roll podcast from BJ Cramp. He's been out doing it as well. BJ covers a lot of great music I like too. I got to play a round of Rock and Roll Jeopardy that's going to be hopefully aired on the show at some point in the future. But hopefully I'll be guesting on a couple of episodes of BJ's shows as well upcoming, and just a lot of other great podcasts that are out there, like the Shabby Road Record Show, High Fidelity podcast. Check these people out, please, as much as you check out my show, and show them the same love you showed me. And that's it. Again, thank you again for tuning in. Hopefully you will go out and pick up Failure's Heart is a Monster. And please be sure to tune into YouTube at our new YouTube channel, Sit and Spin with Joe. You can look it up there, and you can go back, as I said, and watch all the classic videos, all 100 of them. And believe me, it has been a months-long challenge just getting all those babies uploaded. But thanks again, and we'll catch you next time on Sit and Spin. See you then.
Heard you driving in my car, then in a crossing bar. I claimed I didn't care for you. You first got trapped inside my head. my room. Even when I'm alone, I hear your metal drum. Everyone